Hello, my name is Kim Kemp, and this is for Introduction to Literature 2133, Professor Grace Veach. This is March 28, 2020, and my biographical talk is on the poem Hanging Fire. Audrey Geraldine Lord was the name given to Audre Lorde on February 18, 1934 in Harlem, New York City. Early in her childhood, she dropped the Y from the end of her name because the E ending on her first and last name sounded more symmetrical to her. Her parents were of Afro-Caribbean descent. Her father, Frederick Lord, was from Barbados. He was in real estate, and although he was charming and ambitious, he is said to have been aloof toward his children. Perhaps this is the reason no mention of him is made in her poem Hanging Fire. Her mother, Linda Belmar, was from Grenada. Being of African-Caribbean descent, she had a lighter skin and was often seen as Spanish. She was very strict, and Audrey, born a rebel, always struggled in relationship with her. This would explain why, as Audrey stated, "and Mama's in the bedroom with the door closed." It seemed to be the way Linda dealt with a rebellious teen. Audrey was the youngest of three girls born to Frederick and Linda. She was born nearsighted to the point of being declared legally blind. In addition, being tongue-tied, her speech was repressed. She didn't speak until the age of 4, but as soon as she started speaking, her mother introduced her to the alphabet, and very quickly she learned to read and write. This may be part of the reason Audrey was not close to either of her sisters. The fact that Lorde struggled in her relationship with her mother and wasn't close to her sisters explains why she struggled so during her teen years to adjust to the normal adolescent changes she was experiencing and why she felt so isolated. Audrey loved poems, and at an early age she would answer any questions by quoting from those she had memorized. She was argumentative and resentful toward her sisters, making her difficult to deal with. Thus she experienced beatings that did not straighten her. Once again, this would add to a sense of desperation she felt dealing with life and its changes alone. Could this be part of the truth that she speaks of when she states, "But finally tell the truth about me"? Lorde wrote her first poem when she was in the 8th grade. Yet, as a senior and editor of the school magazine, her poem was found to be too advanced for the school magazine, so it was not published. However, 17 magazine did publish it. The poem Hanging Fire has form. It is made up of 3 stanzas with 11 to 12 lines each. However, it is written in free verse with no rhyme, scheme, or meter. Lorde was described by others as a noted Afro-American writer, educationist, feminist, and civil rights activist. She, however, described herself as black, feminist, lesbian, mother, and poet. She was very open about her sexual choice and often gave voice to the gay community. She married a gay white man, an attorney, Edward Rollins, and had 2 children during their 8 years of marriage. After their divorce, Lorde found relationships within the lesbian community throughout the remainder of her life. During that period, Lorde famously said, "Those of us who stand outside the circle of this society's definition of acceptable women, those of us who have been forged in the crucibles of difference, those of us who are poor, who are lesbians, who are black, who are older, know that survival is not an academic skill. It is learning how to take our differences and make them strengths." Furthermore, Lorde was quoted as saying, "Let me tell you first about what it was like being a black woman poet in the 60s from Jump. It meant being invisible. It meant being really invisible. It meant being doubly invisible as a black feminist woman, and it meant being triply invisible as a black lesbian and feminist. This sense of being invisible would explain why she made reference to the possibility of death at an early age. What if I die before morning? She felt no one was listening, no one cared early in life, and it continued on until she finally acquired a voice that was being heard. Just to think about my side of it. I should have been on the math team. My marks were better than his. The norm for this time period, as Lord describes it, was the mythical norm of U.S. culture, which is white, thin, male, young, heterosexual, Christian, financially secure. Therefore, color, as well as gender, would have kept her off the math team. Lord defines racism, sexism, ageism, heterosexism, elitism, and classism all together and explains that an ism is an idea that what is being privileged is superior and has the right to govern anything else. She put to words the pain she endured to give voice to those who likewise were enduring the same ism. Lord held that the key tenets of feminism were that all forms of oppression were interrelated. Creating change required taking a public stand. Differences should not be used to divide. Revolution is a process. Feelings are a form of self-knowledge that can inform and enrich our activism, and acknowledging and experiencing our pain helps us to transcend it. Lord spent her life in nonviolent ways standing for the rights of females concerning equality in politics, economics, culture, personal and social rights. She died from a battle with cancer in 1992 at the age of 58 with countless awards for her efforts.